What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a rather crisp summer morning, to be honest. It's not too warm today. Hopefully we'll be able to walk around and won't get too sunburnt. But today is a pretty special day because we are heading to Beaulieu's Supercar weekend. Previously this event was just Supercar Sunday and they didn't used to do it over the whole weekend, although now it's the whole weekend and I believe all the cars are there for both the Saturday and the Sunday. I know the Saturday, which is the day we're going on, is going to be slightly less busy. And there should be some sick cars there, and with less people there, hopefully I can get some better shots of the cars. But without further ado, I'm not displaying, by the way. The GTR is just going to be in the overflow car park, so I literally tried to book last minute, didn't have any spaces left. I'm picking up my mate James. We've got to put some fuel in this thing, obviously, and head on down to Beaulieu in the New Forest. We've arrived nice and early and we're the second car in the car park. So I've got a good parking space, which is end of a row and hopefully will mean reduced chance of dawdings. But the problem is we're at 8 o'clock and the doors don't open till 10. And I think I'm sort of willing to sacrifice the parking space for some breakfast somewhere. But we don't know where we're going to get. We're going to have to go into Lyndhurst, I think. We should have read what time this started. I thought, oh no, we'll get there because there'll be a big queue to get in and there'll be good atmosphere. There's no one out front and there's just about 10 of us weirdos that have arrived exceptionally early and I don't think it's worth staying around. We've arrived in Lyndhurst for some breakfast. We saw a few other cool cars on the way there. I saw an LM20 GTR actually. That looked like the Litchfield press car. They look awesome. They've got a little bit of carbon fibre on the back of the spoiler and they just look a bit more aggressive, and I think they're about 750 odd horsepower, which is quite a lot in case you weren't aware, and probably faster than me. Definitely faster than me. There's so many ridiculous cars going around, it's awesome. This is now the automotive centre of the universe for a few hours. Well, for the day, well, for the weekend really. After that fat breakfast we've had, we actually missed them bringing all the cars out. We saw the Huracan and the Jaguar F-Type and the SL class getting brought out earlier, but since then they've brought out the GTC4 Lusso T, California, 488 GTB, 812 Superfast, which is probably the most exciting car on the lot, as well as the stunning 458 Italia behind, or 458 Spider behind me. Very nice. The 812 Superfast, because if I could have any car on this lot, other than the laugh that's hidden at the back, it's under a cover so we can't see it, I would have this. This is my dream Grand Touring car. There's your LaFerrari under the covers. It's a really dirty window and it's under a cover, so there's no point in seeing it. I thought this 458 Speciale over here was a Pista because of the really louvered bonnet on it, but as I got closer I realised it was not a 488 Pista and was rather disappointed, which is probably the first time I've seen a 458 Speciale and been disappointed. Arriving 2 hours early was entirely pointless because there was no queue to get in. Greeted initially, unlike last year when we had the XJ220, we have the aerial stand. They've also got a motorbike over there which looks pretty cool. But we're going to try and get in deeper and see if they've got any real gems hidden and dotted around like they did last year, like the Ford GT. So initially we were greeted with a few cool cars. There is the new BMW 8 Series over there, which I think looks incredibly aggressive, but last year this GT12 did do one of the runs on the hill climb, and the noise that comes out the arse end of these things, probably one of the loudest cars stock I think I've seen in a long time. Additionally, right next to it you have a DB6 and a 177, so you can see some pretty rare cars, very exciting stuff. And there's some really interesting stuff over on the Beamer stand over here as well. Obviously the i8, not everyone's a fan. 3-cylinder is a little bit quiet for my liking, and obviously not that quick with a 4.2 second to 60. But I think you can't argue with those aesthetics. And it's actually parked next to the new 8 Series. Now the new 8 Series looks incredibly aggressive. It's got an adaptive front end, so the front actually opens and closes on the intercooler depending on what you're doing with the car. So when you're pushing it, it's actually adaptive as to its cooling. How sick is that? Looks awesome. And I have no idea what these two are. Obviously I'm uncultured swine, but two obviously very rare BMWs that I've never seen before. Me and James are both a little disheartened because last year in this section there was the globe, and around the globe you had all the countries. You had Italy, Japan, England, and all of the cars from the respective countries, and I thought it was a really nice touch. And at the moment it doesn't look like that's here, but there are still specific areas for different manufacturers. And of course we have behind me an Aventador S, a bit of a questionable spec, not sure about those silver wheels, but I wouldn't say no because they are still centre locks and very nice. Huracan, I haven't seen the front of it yet. I think it's a 610-4, but most impressively all the way back over there is a Miura SV, the original rear engine supercar. What a weapon. I have to say, I think the cars in this stand are a little more special than the ones on the Lamborghini stand. This, if you're uncultured and don't know, is a 300 SL. This is also known as the Gullwing. Very expensive. This is a modern classic. I love it. I absolutely love the 300 SL. A lot of people would have an Aston Martin DB5 as their dream classic, but this for me has to take the cake. It's just got such a strange shape to it. It's really sort of bottom heavy and it just looks sporty. I really like it and think it was so far ahead of its time considering this thing came out in the 50s. Next along the line we have the SLS. This thing looks so aggressive and wide from the back with that dirty grey carbon fibre wing on the back. Absolutely awesome, as well as the carbon splitter at the bottom. 2013, it looks amazing. And next to it is its new bigger brother, the AMG GTR. Rear wheel drive, bi-turbocharged, 4 litre V8, absolute animal, and nothing sounds quite like the engine in an AMG. They are just musical instruments as opposed to engines in my opinion. Now, while all you Americans out there won't appreciate this, Mustangs are much more of a rare commodity in England, and seeing such a ridiculous lineup of them is actually quite an occasion, because even though they've started producing them over here and they've become a lot more popular in the newer models, seeing some of the older ones and the Shelbys is still a massive event for us in Britain, and it's still pretty cool. One over from Mustangs, we have the Porsche stand, and I've got to say, seeing two 991 GT3 RSs next to each other is definitely an event. Absolutely ridiculous. I love the wings on these things, they're so aggressive. There's actually an orange one around Chelmsford that I always see, and always actually, well, I only ever seen it when I was in the TT, and it definitely smoked me back then. So, but they are ridiculous cars, and apparently from a driving experience, this and the new GT2 are as close as you can get to a genuine GT car without getting in a GT car.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the Lamborghini Bull? Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Much like last year, Lamborghini Club UK are also here, and you can see them a mile off from the nice array of colours you can see, like the Skittle Squad over here. You've got a couple of Huracan Performantes, one of which is a Spider, a few Aventador S's, of course an Aventador SV with the wings up looking absolutely crawler, and a Lamborghini Bull over there with rather large testicles, which I think is quite funny. And over here, which is probably more special, is a nice red Countach. I think that's the S5000 or whatever they were called. But over here, is it a manual? That is the question. Oh, it's not. Still pretty cool though. It's still a Murcielago. And over here, interestingly, Huracan Performante Spider, which I think is a bit of an oxymoron really. If you've got like adaptive aero, have a hard top, and this Mercy also has a dirty great wing on the back and is a automatic, but V12 is still winning. Now, I've heard a lot of loud GTRs in my time, but that thing over there, to be honest with you, I don't really know, it's not overheating because he ain't moving it, but the size of the flames out the back on that thing, they are like 6-foot jobbies, and you can see how Rich is running with all that like smoke building up out the back before it ignites. So I talked to him and he says it's a full carbon body that he actually had imported over from Japan. It's a stage 4, so 630 brake horsepower, and a full decatted titanium exhaust system, with obviously a specific map put on it by Night Racer to produce such ridiculous pops and bangs. I have never seen a GTR spit flames that big, online or in real life, and that guy is an absolute legend. Can't imagine how bored everyone on my channel is of GTR content now, but we actually drove by this one on the way down here. As you can tell by the carbon lip, if you do follow the GTR community, this is one of the Litchfield LM20s. That's what we drove by on the way down. It was this exact car. Of course, it's a 17 plate, but it's pre-configured, tuned by Litchfield, and you buy it off them for like 90,000, so 10 grand over list. And it will have all of the required modifications that the LM20 has. I think they've sold them all out at the moment, but they have got they've got a second-hand one for sale at the moment. It's done a few thousand miles. But of course, the carbon central piece on the wing, the black on the wing makes it look a lot more aggressive. I really want to put a black wing on my one, but cost constraints. And of course, the 17 plates have a slightly more aggressive diffuser at the back with the louvers at the side, and the wheels look a lot nicer with those diamond cut alloys. I am a big fan. I really wanted to get a 17 plate, but I couldn't justify the extra 30,000 over the standard DBAs. But what are you going to do? Oh, you know what they say, no replacement for displacement. Again, another shout out to my mum, but I can't say this is real, but of course her dream car, an AC Cobra 427. Is it real? Who knows? The only way I can tell is by looking at the plate online, but it looks very retro, and whether or not it's real or not, it's still epic. They are sick cars, and I saw a real one a few weeks back at Goodwood, and they are just an absolute vibe. They are sick, and I can totally see why mum wants one, and I can just sort of see her rocking, she's like 50 odd, I can see her rocking up at school to teach the kids in an AC Cobra. There are still some absolute gems dotted around. You spotted this from a mile off. Most people think, oh, it's an F12, but if you notice the little louvers on the back above the wheel, it's an F12 TDF. Only, how many were made? 799, James? James, how many were made? 799, yeah, James said it, mate, so you can blame him if it's wrong, but I'm pretty sure they were 799. So pretty rare. You know, there's only 200 more of these floating around on the planet than there are LaFerraris. Obviously, being a car spotter, there are a few things that you want to hunt down. I think I've achieved most of my list. There are very few cars I still want to see. I haven't seen a Centenario coupe. I specifically want to see a coupe, but I haven't seen a Centenario coupe. And there's a few other things I haven't seen that I'd really like to. One thing I'm actually really trying hard to spot, back there you can see a Bentayga. You're thinking, yeah, there are quite a lot of Bentaygas. There are a lot of Bentaygas around where we live. They're quite a popular SUV. But what I haven't spotted, and every time I see a Bentayga, is one with the Breitling clock. Now this is a bit of a sort of Easter egg in the Bentaygas, but 4 Bentaygas every year get sold with the Breitling clock as an option. Now this option has a specific Swiss movement that's very sought after and very expensive. And if it is spec'd in one of the 4 every year, it is £180,000, $200,000 for you Americans out there, for a clock just to have a little different name on it in your dashboard. I have never seen a Bentayga with that option, but I really want to find one. If anyone has ever seen one or knows where one is, let me know, because I want to tick that off my car spotting list. Because that would be, it's just ridiculous. And as a watch fan, I would definitely like to see that Bentayga. That would be sick. SUV section, of course, there are a few cool cars, namely Range Rover SVR. They sound epic and look pretty cool as well. Of course, there is an 18 plate G-Wagon there, but it hasn't got the updated headlights, so I'm not entirely sure why it's running 18 plate. But what I'm most impressed by is the Lamborghini SUV. Now, a lot of you are going, oh yeah, the Urus. Nah, mate, the Rambo Lambo, the LM002. The Rambo Lambo is a front-engined V12, the exact same powerhouse you find in the Lamborghini Countach. They are a manual and apparently have the heaviest clutch in the world. The interiors, I wouldn't say spacious despite the size of the vehicle. And they've still got that angular Lamborghini aesthetic that's a bit strange, but it's just meaty as anything. I'm a big fan of these. I'd totally love to own one of these. They're ridiculous. Now, over in front of the house, we also have some pretty cool cars. These are all obviously very heritagey Fords, followed by the new Ford GT. I love the new Ford GT. In track mode, it's ridiculous. When it squats down and the wing pops up, it's obscene. I think it's got something stupid like 2 inches of ground clearance. GTR I've got 6, and I scrape that everywhere I go. So I can't imagine having something that low, but obviously you would not be running it on public roads in track mode. I think my favourite feature, beside the GT being written in the headlight, is those ridiculous flying buttresses at the back that you can see all the way through, because it's got a tiny little V6 mounted at the back. It means there's enough room there to put those flying buttresses, and those active air intakes, actually they're not active air intakes, but they actually channel the air out of the rear light at the back, and it just looks really cool. It's such a futuristic design, and you can see it was really sculpted by aerodynamics, and it's just such a unique shape. They really are just absolutely beautiful. Now over here, I've noticed one LaFerrari and an F40, which is of course a vibe, but I'm not entirely sure if that one over there is a LaFerrari or an I think it's just a laugh. Oh no, I thought it was an FXXK for a second there, mate, but it's not. It's just a laugh. We're gonna have to buy it with 2 laughs. Better than nothing. So the LaFerrari is the primary member of the Holy Trinity, but I've always been a big fan of the F40s, mainly because they are actually entirely exposed carbon, but the layered paint over it means you can see the carbon weave through it, because for weight saving they only put 1 layer of paint on it. And original ones that get approved by Ferrari are always got the carbon weave visible, so if you look really closely at one of these, you will be able to see the carbon weave underneath the paint. And in actuality, the amount of space under that chassis is ridiculous. You're pretty much just looking at a carbon shell stuck over, you know, the drivetrain, the gearbox, and 2 turbochargers on the V8 at the back. Really cool car. Well, we're now relaxing quickly in the cafe, and a bottle of water and a Diet Kick was £4.10. So we're all now lining up for the hill climb. It's going to be pretty interesting. We don't know what's going to be doing the run this year. But you can hear them all getting warmed up ready.
Always rapping.
We are not going to hang around for the last section of hill runs or the rev off, because, well, last year they picked the worst cars you could possibly pick for the rev off. And my legs hurt because I'm fat. So our plan is to head back, get in the GTR and skirt out of here. Anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. It was a lot more brief than last year's. We sort of just ran around and got an inkling of what all the cars were like and what we could find. It's been pretty good. Obviously saw a fair few nice Lambos, some rare cars like the F40 and things you don't see every day, and it's always just a nice touch to be in a car-y atmosphere full of other people that are like-minded and like the same sort of hobby. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you guys very soon with more awesome content. Links to all of my social media are in the description below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace!